Hi guys, this video is all about calibration and how we perform that. So on this particular bit of software, just make sure you're using this print manager version. If you're not seeing this, you've got the wrong version, and there'll be a different video for your particular software, as there are a few different kinds. So anyway, so we'll step right along. On this version here, we go into the menu down the bottom left hand side here, and we go to Tools and we go to Calibration Wizard. Now then we select the next button and we select the drop down and we go to the second bottom one here, VSD_3, 360 high precision, 720 high speed. That's our print mode, so we make sure that we're definitely on that particular one, otherwise this won't work. So basically the second bottom from the list. We want to also make sure that our dot is on large dot. This will allow us to see calibration charts a bit clearer. So once we've changed that one and that one, everything else stays the same, and we check the next button. Now what we've got here is three areas that we need to calibrate. Area one is the group, area two is the bi-directional, which is this particular one here, and then the third one is the step, and lastly actually we also do the vertical calibration, which is actually in a different section, but we will cover that also. So let's move right along. What basically happens here is we will go to each individual section of this calibration area and we print out a little print graph which will show us how to read and how to input the value into the software. So what we do, this first one is the group setting. Now what the group setting is actually calibrating is because we're running bi-directionally, meaning that the printer prints from right to left and also left to right. That is basically saying it's a bi-directional print. So what we're measuring here is the action, basically, that we need to align the color to the white when it prints from left to right, and then we need to calibrate the group setting from when the printer runs from right to left. So what we actually do is we highlight the one in here. Now we can skip forward and go backwards by hitting the back and next buttons. If I hit the next button, you'll see it now goes down to the next one here. If I hit it again, it goes down to this next one. So each one of these sections that we skip to, we can then hit the print button, which will print a test pattern out onto the printer, which we then in turn look at the results of the print, and we put the correct values in it to calibrate or get the correct settings. So let's just move back to the very first one. This is the first one we'll have to print. Now you'll go to here and then you will hit the print button. Now when we hit the print button, what we'll see is a chart printed out on our printer. Now it's going to look something like this here. Now I've just done this up on a as a artwork in Illustrator, just to show you, because it's far too light and fine for us to see on the printer. But this is essentially what you'll see when it's printed out. Now you're going to need the use of your magnifying glass to get the best result. But what you'll see along here, we're just reading the G2 section of the printout, not the G1. So we're just reading the best result on G2. So for this particular one, we need to find the best result where these two vertical bars line up the best. So if we just take this one for example, we can see in number 4 here how they're quite badly misaligned. So it obviously wouldn't be this particular one. As we go down the graph, we can see that we come to -3, and we can see that these two white and black bars are now perfectly aligned, and we can see a value there of -3. So what we do is we go to back to our calibration, and we would actually come across to here, and we would put -3 into here. So when I say we put in -3, we actually -3 away from this value. So it will be 16 -3, which will give us a value of 13. So we would do that, and then we hit next. So then we're onto the right hand calibration, and we hit print again. That will bring us up an identical chart to this one here, and we would do the same task. So if, for instance, this was -3 again, then we would go back into our calibration chart, and we would put -3 into that one, which is 16 again -3, which will give us 13. Now, that would then correct those settings and calibrate those settings. Then we would advance to the next section, which is our bi-directional setting. So once we have that highlighted, we would hit the print button, wait for the test print to print on the printer, and then we would have a look at that particular graph, which looks like this. A little bit different to the first one. It only uses black, there's no white on this one, but we would be doing exactly the same task. We're looking for the best vertical aligned bar. So as you can see, in this direction, they slightly get better and better and better and better until we find a perfect one, which is going to be, in this instance, -5. So again, we would go back to our calibration chart. We would -5 from that. So this one's -15, -5. So that would be a value of -20. So once we have completed the bi-directional, we hit the next button until we get down to the step, which is the last one. So once that's highlighted, we hit the print value, hit the print button again. We would then go have a look at the step calibration chart, which again is different. But what we're doing in this instance is there's a set of horizontal lines printed in one direction, and a set of horizontal lines printed in the opposite direction. And what we're trying to do is find the best aligned set of lines that line up on top of each other. So if we look at 0, it's a fairly fair way out. However, if we go along, we can find that number 3, the two sets of bars are actually perfectly aligned. So the correct value for this particular one is going to be 3. So that's +3. So we go back to our calibration wizard again, and we would then, with this one, is a little bit different. We would type in the number 3 into this section, and then we hit this button here, which actually does the calculation for us, because it's not a matter of taking 3 away from this particular number. Reason being is that this number is actually quite massive. You can see there it's a big number, so it's basically an algorithm that is worked out. So we put the correct number into there, and then we check this button here, and once we check this button, it will then update our current setting. So our current step setting is on 8. So if we were doing it normally, it would be 11, but if I hit this button here, you'll see that the number is not 11. It's quite a big difference in the value. So with all these settings that are up here, you take the number away from the current number, except for the step. You just put the correct value in, hit this button, which will make that which will make that adjustment for you. I'm not going to save this because this is just a practice one. But however, when you do, it'll ask you, you'll actually come to this particular part here where you'll hit the save button, then you'll hit the finish button, and it'll ask you if you're ready to exit the calibration wizard, which you'll reply yes to. So the last one to cover off is the vertical alignment. Now, there is a chart I believe you can do to check this out, but in fact the easiest way to do this is to print a normal file. So if you've got a file of, to be honest, anything, but even if you just typed the words test or something in and then put it through in your print factory and put the white behind, use your shape command with 100% white behind it, and then put a 0 tolerance on it, that'll mean it's a butt fit, and that's going to be your best way to calibrate to get that precisely in is the best way of doing it. So for vertical alignment, we want to make sure that the white aligns to the color when we're printing our pattern. So if you print the job and the white's not aligned top to bottom to your color, then what you would do is you'd come into the main menu, click on setting, and then you click the layer setting tab. Then what you want to do is go to layer 2. When you go to layer 2, you'll see this number here, Y offset 644 is the current setting. Now you can also see between these two layers, when I click on layer 2, you can see that the white channels are all checked, which means that this is the white layer. If I swap to the layer 1, you'll then see that the color channels are selected, meaning that's the color head we're talking about. So we want to basically move the white head to suit the color. So it means we go to layer 2, and this number here, if you up or increase or decrease the number, will move the white forward or back to suit your print. So if it is out, it's just a matter of essentially moving these values up and down until you get the right number. So when you're finished with selecting a number, you would then hit the save command and then reprint your print and see if and you just need to do this a few times until you get it absolutely perfect. It may take you 3 or 4 prints to get it perfect, but if you just do a small bit of like type, maybe 20-point type, something like that, and test it on that, this is the best way. So once you've done that last setting, now I'm not going to save it because again my settings were correct as it was, but once you've finished that setting, you can then go and select one of your jobs, hit print, and see how it comes up. If it's not quite aligned, you might find that you need to just tweak 1 or 2 of your settings in those calibration areas. That's pretty much it, and if you've got any questions with it, please give me a call or send a support request on our chat forums, and we can help you and remote in and help you go through some of the things that you don't understand. But if you follow that as a general guide, I'm sure it will be helpful for you.